Hello guys, welcome back to Literature Information. Today we will talk about the ritual and remembrance of the soldiers who died on the battlefield. We are discussing the poem Anthem for Doomed Youth written by Wilfred Owen. Anthem for Doomed Youth argues that the horrors of war like World War I render the usual tributes to the dead. For example, the ringing bells, collective prayer, choir singing, the draping of coffins with the national flag, these are all practically meaningless. Furthermore, most of the men who die in such conflict will never be honored with such rituals anyway. There are too many fallen soldiers. The poem shows the usual ceremonies to be inadequate and argues in favor of different forms of remembrance that are more appropriate for such a terrible conflict. In the first stanza, the poem looks at some of the ways that dead soldiers might be honored and transforms them into the sounds and sights of war itself. The rituals referenced, the ringing of bells, prayers in churches, singing choirs, are presented as mockeries that fail to do justice to the fallen. That is, these things are so removed from the horrible reality of war that they mock the people they are supposed to honor. Furthermore, the church and the government are big parts of why these men went off to die in the first place. The soldiers were asked to defend their country and its values. The hypocrisy also has to do with how these supposedly solemn rituals take place in relative safety, while the soldiers themselves experience the horror of war. Indeed, the only fitting passing bells, prayers, and choirs that can pay honest tribute to war are the weapons of war themselves. Only they deal with the reality of war because they are the reality of war. Of course, the speaker doesn't really see gunfire as a form of prayer, but rather sees its sound as a truer and more authentic representation of what war is actually like for the soldiers. In the second stanza, the poem moves to describe more fitting form of tribute. Instead of the weak light of remembrance candles, for example, the speaker suggests honoring the holy glimmer of goodbyes in the soldier's eyes. That is the dying light of life in their eyes as they realize that their time is up. Then the speaker goes on to mention the pallor of girls' brows, the tenderness of patient minds, and the drawing down of blinds each day. Each of these, the speaker suggests, is a more honest form of tribute. The first example describes how, rather than having their coffins wrapped with flags, the young men will be remembered by the grief-stricken faces of their loved ones, particularly the girls who may be their sisters, wives, or girlfriends. Then the tenderness of patient minds suggests that the best tribute that could be made to the dead is the calmness, patience, and understanding that could prevent war from ever happening again. Finally, the drawing down of blinds is in part of an image of the darkness of death, but it is also a more literal sign of the continuation of everyday life. Blinds are drawn, people go to sleep, and they wake up to the next day to go on living. The image suggests that the simple existence of an everyday life would be the most authentic tribute to the dead soldiers because it means that others are enjoying the peace for which the war was fought. In summary, Anthem for Doomed Youth criticized the usual form of ritual and tribute used to commemorate people who have died in war. It is not saying that these rituals don't have their place, but rather that they are not enough the face of war's horrors. In the second stanza, the poem presents memory, kindness, and gratitude as more fitting memorials. That's all for today.